PNG and Secret proudly present the NWSL Challenge Cup tonight. Utah Royals FC faces off against the Houston Dash in the quarterfinals presented by Budweiser's. Win and you move on to the semifinals. Welcome in. I'm Josh Toll, and with me is the keeper, Jen Cooper. And Jen, both these two teams have met once before. That was the first game of the preliminary round. A total of 6 goals was scored between the two teams. Welcome back as we get set for Utah and Houston, the second match here in this quarterfinals. Of course, we had the game here earlier today as we take a look at the standings. And what happened earlier today, Jen? Well, a big win for Portland.
Who would have thought it? North Carolina upset by the number 8 seed Portland. Great match to watch. Of course, all those saves from Britt Eckerstrom. The winner of tonight's match will meet Portland in the early semifinal next Wednesday. Tomorrow we've got Reign versus Chicago, Washington versus Sky Blue, and those winners meet in the other semifinal.
Both teams looking to move on. Great action tomorrow night, but first we'll look at the starting 11, and we'll start with the Houston Dash.
Nichelle Prince getting her first start of the tournament up top. Brie Vazali also getting her first start on the front line. Megan Oyster back in center back with Katie Naughton, and Haley Hansen getting her first start at center back, not midfield. Oh, sorry, out right back.
And of course, you have Jane Campbell in at net for head coach James Clarkson as we take a look at Utah and their starting 11. A little bit different than their last game that they competed in.
Very different from their last game, Josh, as they had rested Amy Rodriguez, gave a lot of rest to Vero and Elizabeth Ball as well. But the big change here, Kelly O'Hara making her first start of the tournament. Diana Matheson getting back in as a rest. Kate Del Fava. Very different Utah than lined up against Houston in their tournament opener on June 30th.
O'Hara just played 19 minutes in the game against Chicago. We'll see how long she goes tonight, if she goes an entire 90, or if Coach Craig Harrington has her on a minutes restriction. We'll find out. Both these two teams looking for a win here for their second win and ultimately to move on into that semifinal. They faced one another. That one went down to the wire with Utah coming from behind to tie things up in the 89th minute. So we'll see. And now we are underway from Herriman, Utah. Utah in the white kits, Houston in their orange kits.
Referee Danielle Chesky just making sure everybody was paying attention, right? Just a little test run.
Labonta plays it out. Weber coming over to clear this one away was Haley Hansen. Josh Toll and Jen Cooper with you once again this evening. Both teams just one win in this Challenge Cup so far. Searching for that second one for Houston. They got the win 2-0 over OL Reign. Utah a 1-0 win against Sky Blue.
And that second goal for Houston against the Reign was the difference maker in the final standings, with 4 teams tied on 4 points. Houston ending up at the top of those 4 teams to grab 4th place because they had the most goals scored.
Everything settled as Vero will walk over to the ball on the fence. And we will have a kick coming here for Utah Royals FC. Utah scored first in the first game between these two, and then Houston came back and scored the next 2 goals. Jane Campbell directing traffic. Vero sends it in. That one over the head and out of play. Vero either going for that back post or trying to sneak it by Jane Campbell. And maybe Campbell got her hand on it. Looks like we're going to have a corner.
Lofting ball. Not clear if Campbell got a hand on it, but it didn't go in. She's reaching. Doesn't seem like she changed his trajectory at all.
Barely got a piece of it.
But they are giving the corner.
That was enough, it looked like, to just swipe it wide. And now a chance here on the corner. And Campbell makes no mistake, grabs this one.
Vero, the only player in the tournament so far to score directly off of her free kick, and that free kick goal did come against Houston.
Nearly had a second right there. For Houston, they have allowed 6 goals in this NWSL Challenge Cup. That's the most. Utah right behind them with 5 goals allowed. Both teams have had defensive lapses here in this tournament. We'll see if they've reworked those with having the 4 days off in between games.
Some teams we've seen struggle offensively. These teams, I would say their struggles have been more defensively over the course of the first round, but also offensively in the last 2 games.
Yeah, both these teams got off to a hot start in the first 2 games in terms of scoring. We'll see which one gets going here today. Matheson knocked off the ball by Schmidt. Oyster in her first season with the dash, scoots through. Looking for Vasali. Played over the tape by Rachel Corsi.
Oyster rested the Dash's last match and is now back on the field with center back partner Katie Naughton.
Those two still getting familiar, as well as Jane Campbell, and how they like to operate in that back row.
And of course, Oyster and Naughton both sitting on yellow cards. Yellow cards do not clear until after this quarterfinal round. So if either one of them gets a yellow tonight, they would have to miss the semifinal if Dash advanced.
Groom trying to slot that one through to Vasali. This will be played back to Abby Smith. Abby Smith, 1 clean sheet so far here in this Challenge Cup. That clean sheet coming in that win against Sky Blue.
Yeah, Smith had only played 2 of the first round games, whereas Jane Campbell's played all 4 for the Dash. It's been interesting to see who's keeping the same keeper, who's rotating their keeper. Good look at Brie Vasali there. Came over from Birmingham City. Also had played at West Ham United. Had an assist in the game against the Reign.
Prince cuts inside. Schmidt brings it down. Hansen lines up, sends it into the spot. Trying for the bicycle was Rachel Daly. Vero leads the NWSL Challenge Cup in assists with 2. Good battle there between her and Christy Mewis. The ball, she started 3 of the 4 games here for Craig Harrington. She came over in a trade in the offseason from Portland.
Such an important acquisition for this Utah squad as they're transitioning, trying to get younger players to complement their veteran stars. And there were Portland fans and reporters after the trade saying, hey, don't think that Elizabeth Ball is going over there as an afterthought. Utah knows what they're doing, picking that player.
Prince going direct, looking for Vasali. Vasali gets around and she's tripped up. Vasali tripped up just outside of the area. Gonna look back at this one. I think it was just outside. Abby Smith coming out, and Abby Smith handed a yellow card.
First keeper to get a yellow in the tournament, Josh. And look at this ball threaded through by Nichelle Prince over the top to the onrushing Vasali, who would have had an open net if she got past Abby Smith. That looks to be just inside the box.
It's about a yard in. Free kick, though, just right outside. Call that could have gone the other way for Houston. We have yet to have a PK in this Challenge Cup. Nearly had one right there. You go back to the first game between these two. Vero scored from pretty much this spot against Houston.
And Nichelle Prince is going to have to move out of that wall. She might not be aware of the rule change from last summer. The offensive team cannot be close to the defensive wall. And of course, Daly and Mewis, along with Schmidt, lining up over that ball.
Houston with a great chance here for the first goal of the game. Now Amy Rodriguez will have to exit the wall, or they're going to make Prince scoot over more. Mewis, that one off of Rodriguez, tries to flick it over. Rodriguez looking to run the other direction. It has O'Hara, and O'Hara tripped up by Mewis.
We're not even 10 minutes in, Josh, and you can tell this is going to be
a
very
cards.
feisty match. 2 yellow cards in the first 10 minutes. I know that's the quickest we've seen 2 yellows in this tournament.
It was very physical in the first one, and you spoke about this before the game off air, about how you thought it could be chippy and it could be physical. There you see Mewis grabbing the back of the jersey of Kelly O'Hara, and also going down was Amy Rodriguez.
Neither of these teams has ever been in a knockout round situation. Utah, of course, it's just their 3rd year in NWSL. Houston, it's their 7th. It means a lot to both of these teams to get a win and advance.
Of course, it is win or you go home. Semifinals will be at Rio Tinto Stadium.
Still won't be any fans, but they'll be on grass and there'll be a little bit less glare.
Ball coming over fast as Daly plays it back to Chapman. Daly showing off that speed right there to get to that ball from Elizabeth Ball.
And smart movement, right? Didn't try to fight against Ball to get past her, but drop it back to Alicia Chapman.
Here's Chapman, plays it down the line, but out. Be interesting also to see how Kelly O'Hara adjusts to this 3-5-2, getting more minutes here.
And fans, if you're not using the hashtag NWSL Challenge Cup, you should be. Lots of great conversation going online. Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, all of the above.
Zali plays it back, Oyster. 7 games these two teams have played have been decided by 1 goal or less. They are always tight. Just in these opening 11 minutes, it looks like it's going to be another close one this evening. All right, I've already seen 2 yellow cards handed out and a kick that just came from beyond the box that was hit into the wall by Houston.
And of course, we still have 4 teams yet to play their 5th game, but at this point, Utah and Houston lead with 5 yellow cards each.
Zali giving chase, and Smith sends it ahead to midfield. Right there, Schmidt. Mewis plays it up, and no one up front for the dash. Elizabeth Ball is the player slow to get up for Utah Royals FC. The important right back, we talked about it earlier, coming over in the trade for Becky Sauerbrunn. Craig Harrington getting a great piece in Elizabeth Ball, as she has a very bright future ahead for her with Utah Royals FC.
One of several Penn State players on this Utah roster. Dash players taking the time to catch up, check in, talk about the first crazy 10 minutes, maybe discuss why Sophie Schmidt's hair is purple. We're not sure. Been trying to get the news from the sideline.
For Houston, they're second in the Challenge Cup in scoring goals. 5 goals in that first round. 2 from both Daly and Groom and 1 from Christy Mewis. All 5 of their goals were assisted on. For Utah, they have 4 players that have scored. You're looking at Vero, Amy Rodriguez, Diana Matheson, and the rookie, Zierra King. As Elizabeth Ball is able to walk off. Hopefully she'll be right back into this one. But by the looks of it, she's heading back to the locker room or maybe a training table there behind the bench.
But we haven't heard of a sub coming in. They can play short if they want to see if she can still go. Nope.
And Gunny Jonstadter, we are told, will come in. So we had an early sub in the first game as well. Now we'll have an early one in this one as Gunny Jonstadter will be called upon.
The Icelandic international has played all but 1 game in Utah's history. And the only game she missed was one of the group stage games.
Jonstadter has played in that back row here in this Challenge Cup. Last year we saw her very much in the midfield. We've also seen her play in the back row, so she has familiarity. As this is played all the way down. And Jane Campbell will just boot it right back. For Jane Campbell, she's tied for second in saves with 12 here in this NWSL Challenge Cup. Both keepers with 1 clean sheet each.
Jane had 6 saves in their final game against Washington Spirit. At the time, that was most in 1 game until today's crazy quarterfinal. Britt Eckerstrom making 8 saves in 1 game.
Basically, almost all of them highlight reel saves.
Yeah, there's no way to pick a save of the game for that one. It's just all the saves of the game. There's still 2 or 3 that are so good.
That free kick was so amazing that she's.
But also the double save, right? Like,
and that one also late in the game.
That could be a half-hour show right there, is arguing which one of her saves was best.
Jonstadter. Have to wonder if one of these keepers will have some big moments tonight.
Definitely the way this is looking. Both of these keepers have been part of the US U23s. Of course, Jane Campbell has 3 caps with the senior team. Abby Smith has been called in multiple times with the senior team, not yet capped, but so many great young keepers in this tournament. You know, if you're Vlatko Nanoski up in the stands with your little notebook, I'm thinking he's adding keeper name after keeper name after keeper name.
Of course, he plays it outside. Delfava is going to chase it down. Delfava, a rookie out of Illinois State. Craig Harrington thinks she has so much potential, very athletic. And she has the ball in her possession. Of course, Utah looking to be more aggressive in this 3-5-2. Also looking to play more direct this year. We've seen it at different times here throughout this Challenge Cup. Tonight very much will be a battle of the midfields between these 2 squads.
Sophie Schmidt playing the very important role of the midfielder sitting in front of the back 4 for Houston. On the other side, Labonta, who has mostly played in that role in front of the back 3. She did get shifted up last game. Rachel Daly and Shea Groom both sitting right behind Lynn Williams in the Golden Boot race. They each have 2 goals, 1 assist. Lynn Williams finishing her tournament with 3 goals and 1 assist.
Schmidt Corsi stepping up, denies that pass to Christy Mewis. Now she pushes forward with Matheson. Corsi on the run. Weber into the box, right-footed shot right at the stomach of Jane Campbell. I like the idea there by Weber, though, putting a shot on target.
Matheson to Corsi to Weber. Good teamwork, nice passing. Weber gets through traffic, but Jane Campbell reads that well.
O'Hara back to help. Corsi, the Scottish captain.
She played 3 seasons with Reign before coming over to join Utah when the club launched in 2018. Such a key piece, especially with Desiree Scott being out for the tournament, the club having traded away Becky Sauerbrunn. Kelly O'Hara, this is her first start, so she hasn't been able to be on the field as a leader.
Vero looking for Rodriguez. Rodriguez plays that off Chapman for a corner. The connection, the chemistry between Amy Rodriguez and Vero. You've seen it a couple different times here in this Challenge Cup, but especially in that second game and the win against Sky Blue, it really showed.
And it's such a great chemistry to see, given that last year I think all the expectation was how Vero would combine with Kristen Press, but I think their partnership has been explosive in this tournament.
Low drive. Matheson plays it out. She's tripped up. Vero. And she'll reset this all the way back to Lola Bonta. Bonta, another one of those players getting more comfortable playing the defensive holding midfielder with the absence of Desiree Scott. She's normally a number 8, likes to go box to box, but has had different roles here in this Challenge Cup for Craig Harrington.
Such a great two-way player, just has to focus on the defense, but she's been a great substitute for Desiree Scott. And I like that Craig Harrington, especially in his first year, is like, hey, this is what we were practicing. We weren't expecting to not have Desiree, but we're going to stick with our game plan.
Bonta will play it all the way back to Abby Smith. We have seen Nicole Barnhart in this, but for the elimination game, Craig Harrington electing to go with Abby Smith, thinking that she will give his team the best chance to win. Has plenty of NWSL experience as well.
I'm always curious to see if a coach will sub the goalkeeper before penalties, and there's a little bit more freedom to do that in this tournament, with each team allowed up to 5 subs.
Of course.
It doesn't happen very often, but it's always like, is that to just mess with the minds of the other team, or here's a keeper who's fresh or is just really good at penalties?
Of course, we have yet to see a PK in any game. And if it does go to a tie, we will have that instead of extra time.
We will have a PK shootout with best of 5 going into sudden death if necessary.
Diana Matheson scored the first time these two teams played. There's a great picture, if you've seen it around on the internet, on Twitter and Instagram, of Diana Matheson standing right next to Jane Campbell.
And you realize the height difference is considerable. Much like the image we saw the other night of Sam Mewis and Dabinia together.
Vero with another corner. And Katie Naughton goes up to head it away. Weber keeps it in.
Love that pace from Brie Vizali. Right there to pounce on a possible lost ball, keeping Utah under pressure.
Jonsdottir sends it up. Campbell looks to throw this one out fast. Hansen. Rodriguez looking to flick that on to Brittany Radcliffe. Radcliffe out of the University of Virginia. Schmidt. Looking ahead to Prince, who's now on the right wing. Prince sending it in for Vasali. Couldn't get it with the back heel. Mewis. Great chance there for the dash. Unable to get a clean touch on it was Brie Vasali. Vasali in her first season with the dash.
A 2018 draftee out of Pepperdine, selected by Chicago.
This one sent in and cleared away.
Wow.
By Corsi. Dangerous pass there. It looked like it was Shea Groom coming up on the 6.
Prince coming down that right flank looking really dangerous, getting a ball in. Vasali, just her timing's a little bit off. Can't quite get there. She's even trying to give it a little backflip. Mewis chasing the play.
Left-footed ball. That one blocked initially and now cleared out by Vero. But a little bit more action here for the dash.
And as I was saying about Brie Vasali, drafted by Chicago in 2018, couldn't quite make a space on that roster. That was the toughest year for draftees with the Boston folding and those players being picked up. But she did pretty well to go over the FAWSL and was ready to come back and get away from the really gloomy UK weather.
Goes from gloom to hot humidity of Houston. Houston looking to heat things up here in this second game of quarterfinals. North Carolina fell to Portland in the first game. 1-0. The winner will move on to face the Thorns. That will be the afternoon game next Wednesday. Of course, after tomorrow, every game will be played at Rio Tinto Stadium. The final will be held on July 26th. That will be a Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Both these squads looking for their second win of the Challenge Cup.
But their most important win of the Challenge Cup, I'm sure they don't care about the number so much as the ability to advance to the semifinals.
Zolli plays it to Chapman. Chapman. And that one off of Gunny Jonsdottir, and she can't keep it in.
Great effort by Jonsdottir to try to keep that in. Nice work from Chappie coming up that flank. I'm still surprised she doesn't have an NWSL goal yet. And it's been a while since she's recorded an assist.
Mewis will line up with that left foot. And Smith going up to grab this out of the air. We've seen Smith do that throughout this tournament. If she can get her hands on the ball, she will try to catch it every time.
Instead of batting it away.
She is one of the most sure-handed keepers that we have seen so far here in this Challenge Cup. For Houston, it's going to be about shots on target. In their last two games, just one shot on target each game. In the first two, they had multiple as this is sent in. Rodriguez looking to get around.
And of course, as the tournaments progress, teams have varied their lineups greatly. Some players have played a lot of minutes, some not so much. Some have seen a lot of rest. Speaking of rest, you know, Houston resting Katie Stengel tonight. You know, you got to think both short term and long term. We've seen teams like Chicago completely flip their starting 11. Some like North Carolina stick with pretty much their starting 11 all 4 games in the first round.
A little bit of controversy on that for some people. As this is played up to Rodriguez and repelled away. O'Hara. And trying to go right back to Rodriguez, and once again, not in there to play it out. Groom. Groom, a quiet night for her so far.
And Josh, I feel like both of these teams, both of these coaches are working with the same framework of, here's my system. Everybody should be able to play within this system in multiple roles, right? Just like we saw with Utah, that 3-back with the defender right in front of the 3-back. Okay, you lose Desiree Scott, who are you going to play there? Craig Harrington said, no, we're still going to play with this. We'll just adjust, right? I feel like James Clarkson's doing the same thing. We've seen slightly different midfields each game. You know, last time Brie Vazali started, she was in midfield. Now she's forward. Haley Hansen getting her start at outside back instead of midfield like we've seen her previously. Adjust for the situation, but you're adjusting for the sake of the team, right? As opposed to the team adjusting formation for its players.
Labonta. Corsi playing it over the top, looking for O'Hara. O'Hara's going to run out of room on the inline for Kelly O'Hara. Her last start came back in July of last year. Gained the start tonight after playing 19 minutes in that loss to Chicago. See how she plays a role here, pushing up in this Utah offense a little bit more. Of course, in college, she was lethal, winning the Mac Herriman Award. 57 goals in her college career at Stanford. And she is in double digits here in the NWSL at 16. Chapman, the Canadian international, plays it in to her Canadian teammate and Houston teammate, Prince.
4 Canadian national teamers on this squad. 3 of them allocated by the Canadian Soccer Federation. And when you look at Diana Matheson going against Sophie Schmidt, together they have well over 400 caps for Canada, which is amazing.
Not in all 4 previous seasons with Chicago, where she came in the trade for Kalia Watt. Schmidt. Oyster. Diagonal ball. And that one headed away. Matheson trying to chip that forward to Rodriguez. Lays it back for Vero. Outside to O'Hara. Vero. Inside of Matheson. She tried to play it back into Vero. Youngstarter comes up to keep it in play. Nice battle there between Chapman and O'Hara. Corsi. Del Fava, the rookie. Weber. Weber had a great shot on target earlier as she tries to play to Matheson back heel, but right there is Schmidt. Matheson was looking to link up with Brittany Ratcliffe. Brittany Ratcliffe, she started all 4 preliminary round games. Here, great look at Haley Hansen. Hansen in her 3rd season out in Nebraska, as we will take our hydration break here. We are still scoreless between Houston and Utah. We'll be right back. You're watching the NWSL Challenge Cup on Twitch.
Naren converting hers. Matheson's, unfortunately, was saved.
Daly Looking for Mewis, stepping in front is Labonta. Stutters. Falls down. And then Naughton falls down on the other side. Both teams slipping there on that turf. Soccer fans, the official shop of the NWSL is now open. Visit NWSLshop.com now and sign up to be the first to receive special offers and promotions. NWSLshop.com, the official place to gear up and support your favorite team, now open.
NWSL Challenge Cup merchandise, a nice pride tee, gear for all 9 current clubs, as well as items for Racing Louisville FC, the team that will join NWSL for the 2021 season.
Challenge Cup items, they have a little bit of everything for every team. And they will ship internationally. Labonta on the inside.
And we know eventually they will have jerseys and goalkeeper jerseys, and they are supposed to be adding international shipping. There will be more to come.
COVID preventing some things from happening right now, but it will at some point be taken care of.
And of course, the 9 current clubs and even Louisville has a store on, so you can always check out an individual club store. Most of them do have international shipping, and most of them do have jerseys for sale, and some offer customization.
It's great to see 1,000 season ticket deposits for Racing Louisville FC. Mewis to Daly. Into the area, and flag is up. Utah just the one shot on goal coming from Mallory Weber. Houston still looking for their first shot of the game on target. And of course, fans, you can vote for the Verizon save of the tournament.
Rachel Daly, of course, leads the tournament in offside calls. Abby Smith taking her time, deciding what she wants to do. She has scored off a 90-yard punt before, at least in college.
Amazing her range, and that one stays in as A-Rod got it really right at the end line as that goes off Schmidt. And a throw here for Utah. Ratcliffe. Schmidt plays it out once again, and a redo here for Utah.
Kelly O'Hara making her first start of the tournament. I know fans very happy to see her back. Basically her first appearance the other night, first appearance for Utah in a year. Her body made it through last summer's Women's World Cup, but kind of shut down after that.
Yeah, just 4 games in the NWSL last year for Kelly O'Hara. As Vero cuts back. O'Hara, a majority of her career with Sky Blue FC, as that is off of O'Hara, and a throw here for the dash.
Traded before the 2018 season to join the new club.
Mewis. And now it's played all the way back to Del Fava in the circle. Weber looking to get by Hansen. Hansen with a good tackle. Plays it out with her left. And going up and over Groom was Kate Del Fava, showing off the hops, but climbing up the back of Shea Groom in the process.
Del Fava, one of the draftees of 2020 who has really stood out at this tournament. Same for Sierra King, we see at the end of the bench there. Dash's only draftee to join the club, Bridget Andrzejewski. No appearances yet.
Sully finds Prince. Prince to her right foot, bending, and that one post. Great chance there from Nichelle Prince, just couldn't bend it in.
Prince getting her first start in a Dash uniform since before she left for the World Cup last May. Brie Vazali doing such great work tonight, sending a nice ball to Prince, switches to her right foot, gets the shot off, just hits the post. Abby Smith's arm is almost there as well.
Ball, if that ball doesn't hit off Abby Smith, Christy Mewis might have had a chance on the rebound.
You could almost call that a double save, a combination of the post and Abby Smith. We'll have to see how Opta tracks that one.
Flick back by Mewis. Vero in control. Vero looking to squeeze through, does. So good with that ball at her feet. Spain's all-time leading scorer as this is played to Mewis. Trying to time that run was Daly. She had to retreat back, but gets back onside. Seen a little bit more energy here from Houston. Bonta playing it up. Looking to go direct to Brittany Radcliffe.
Quick counter from Utah. Smart play. But Campbell sends it calmly out to Haley Hansen on the right. You could see Rachel Daly's frustration of being shut down on that end of the field.
Schmidt. Chapman. Now the three Canadians touch the ball, and Gunny Jonstar comes back to play it to O'Hara. Matheson falls down, and this one finds its way to Campbell.
Nice long boot from the Stanford grad.
Corsi. Bonta, here's O'Hara.
Late whistle from Danielle Chesky in the middle. She's going over to talk to Shea Groom again. Groom not on a yellow, which is good. But 5 players from each team on a yellow, Josh.
And 2 that were handed out early in this game,
yeah.
The first 10 minutes. Things have kind of calmed down since then. We thought we were going to have a fiery game, and that could pick up again.
And any one of them gets a second, and they don't play next game. But the ones who got it tonight, Smith and Mewis, if they get a second tonight, they leave the game immediately.
In all their faces, how much this game means to them and how much they want to move on to the semifinals to face Portland.
More importantly, being a rematch of that first round game where neither team was totally satisfied, right? Letting in 3 goals. Utah's got the added pressure in a way of being the home team. Of course, they don't get to enjoy a home crowd, but I'm sure they've got some home team pride.
They get their home locker room.
Get to go back to Rio Tinto.
Weber. On the return pass, Weber goes up top, and Campbell knocks it out of play. Weber with a great chance. Campbell a little bit out there, able to get big and play that up and above. Just cut off the angle.
Weber on the ball. Give and go with A-Rod. Gets the shot off. Great job by Jane Campbell to get a hand on that, send it high, wide, and out of play.
Great save there by Jane Campbell to keep this game scoreless. Naughton once again going up top. She's been very instrumental on those free kicks from the corner and clearing the ball away. Hansen was darting forward. Late whistle there. And now a chance for Houston to start up again.
When these teams met on June 30th, they went into the locker room tied 1-1. We may be going to the locker room tied 0-0.
Both teams with excellent chances. The last good one just from Utah on a great give and go from A-Rod, connecting back with Mallory Weber. As this one is played up to Vazali. And then, of course, for Houston, you had Nichelle Prince, who nearly was able to bend one in, but it hit off the post. Those have been the best chances of the night. Mewis gets the ball from Jonstadter to the 6. And coming over was Del Fava. Good job by the rookie coming over to clear that ball away, because waiting to pounce was Rachel Daly. Prince misjudged that, allowed Matheson to get to the ball. Verrill unable to keep that in. Four minutes of stoppage time added on here in this first half. Weber. Solid. She's had two very good games where she has made quite the impact for the Houston Dash and James Clarkson. As this is shoveled over. Hansen now from that back row continues to push up.
Normally a midfielder. She did get pushed back to outside back for the last stretch of the 2019 season, so she's not completely unfamiliar in that role.
Schmidt going over the top, trying to find Daly. Abby Smith comes out. Both these keepers well aware of each team's strikers. We've seen Jane Campbell come out to prevent Amy Rodriguez from making a run at the ball, and now we see Abby Smith preventing Rachel Daly a chance to get on the ball. Both sides hoping for that first goal here before half ends. Winner will move on to the semifinals. That game will be Wednesday afternoon against the Portland Thorns. Stick around, of course, at a half. We will have highlights from this one, as well as that North Carolina-Portland game from earlier today. If you want to see some great highlights of some amazing saves by Britt Eckerstrom, you'll definitely want to check that out.
That could be all top 10 of ESPN Sports Center top 10.
For
Give
sure.
it all 10.
Oyster. She'll play it to her center back partner. Not pressure by Rodriguez. Dangerous high pressure there. Houston able to get out of trouble. You've seen teams make mistakes in that back row, as well as goalkeepers, when we've seen the high press from various teams here in this Challenge Cup. All it takes is one poor clearance, and teams have been able to capitalize. Hansen. Cut out by Matheson. Rodriguez chips it on and played back by the Dash. And we'll have a corner kick here for Utah. So now Verrill will head to the far side here. As we take a look at the brackets, there you see Portland in that 8th spot. They were able to defeat North Carolina today, 1-0. Morgan Weaver getting her first NWSL goal. So we have now had 2 rookies to score in this NWSL Challenge Cup. The other is Yara King, who's on the bench for Utah Royals FC. High ball by Vero, curving. That one went off Del Fava. Del Fava last year, 17 goals at Illinois State. She was an All-American. As there is our final whistle for the first half, we head to the locker room scoreless between Houston and Utah. Both teams with chances here in the first half, but both unable to finish to get that first goal of the game. So they all have some things to work on. Of course, we'll have highlights from the first game and highlights from this one when we return right here on Twitch.